What's going on, everybody? This is your boy JP, Joe Paul. We are back in the motherfucking building. Hope everybody's having a great day, a wonderful afternoon, amazing evening. However you celebrate your Tuesdays, I hope that this shit is lit. You probably at work because who usually isn't at work on a Tuesday? Me, I guess. I don't work on Tuesdays, but we back in this bitch for another episode of Basketball Weekly. Now, if you don't know, this is the weekly show where we come in and we just chop it up, man. We just chop it up. We talk about the sport, see what's going on, whether it be in the NBA, high school, college, WNBA, any level of basketball where there's news to be talked about, we will be there. But we are in the heat in the middle of the NBA season, so that's where we're gonna be spending priority of our conversation. And towards the middle of the episode, we'll be doing a cool little game, something that I've probably never done before, but I think it should be pretty cool. I had a really good time setting it up, so I feel like it should be a good little aspect of the show here. But without further ado, let's go ahead and we'll start off Basketball Weekly. Number one, this is the first one of the season, man. Are you excited? I'm excited. Let's get this bitch going. I need my water. I gotta keep the water nearby. Alrighty. So, if we're gonna go first, we're gonna. Alright, we're gonna just talk about where exactly we are right now in the league before we get into our little, I guess we'll call it a game, little segment towards the middle of the episode. We're just gonna talk about some quick hitter things that are going on in the NBA. So, first and foremost, we're starting off the episode hot. I think I need Doc Rivers to shut the fuck up, bro. Ever since he's gotten this job as Milwaukee's coach, it seems like he's always in front of a mic and he's always saying something that can be construed as an excuse. It's been like, oh, I don't understand why the Bucks did this. You don't understand how hard it is to take over a team in the middle of the season. It's just so hard for us, blah, blah, blah. It sounds like constant bitching and complaining for a guy who knew he was taking somebody else's job, who knew it was the middle of the season, who knew exactly what he was doing at the, at the time where he took the job. It's not like the Bucks forced him to take the job. Like, I don't think that anybody in Milwaukee was like they got like dirt on Doc Rivers and they're forcing Doc Rivers to come out and coach the team. Like, they weren't happy with what Adrian Griffin was doing, and they saw an opportunity to bring in Doc Rivers, and here they are. You know what I'm saying? They started off a little rocky. You know what I'm saying? First 10 games they were 3-7, not good. You know what I'm saying? And I was, very vocal about it, saying like I don't understand the move, why they keep giving Doc Rivers these opportunities, because he's shown time and time again that when you give him these opportunities, you're not really going to make much out of it most of the time. Like at the very most, he'll get you to a second round exit, and then you'll be looking around trying to see why you guys can't get over the hump. And I thought we were going to be in a similar position with this Milwaukee Bucks team, but as of late they have been playing, a lot better. They've done a very good job at actually winning games. Their defense has been more, on point. Offense is in a better position. So I think that as of the last couple of games, I will not be. It makes it even more confused as to why it seems like Doc Rivers is setting up these pre-excuses. Like, we understand that he's in a tougher position. Like, everybody understands that, it's not going to be easy to pick up a new team in the middle of the season. But, my man, you decided to do that. You know what I'm saying? It just, I don't understand it. I guess he was coming out, he was saying that he was taking credit for the James Harden trade that Los Angeles happened. Just a bunch of weird stuff going on in press conferences with him. And I'm just like, bro, shut the hell up and just coach the team. Like, you're talking about how hard it is. How about you just go and get the team in a position to where they're rolling? You know what I'm saying? This team, you didn't pick up a team that was, 25-25, 50 games through. They were 30-13. They were in prime position for that, to be attacking for that first seed in the East. And ever since you picked them up, they haven't been that. They've been playing better as of lately. I believe they're 3-0 and they're 3-0 since the All-Star break. But they haven't been really performing up to the standards for you to be sitting up here and complaining as if something, as if like you have no control over what's happening. Like, man, you're the coach now. Like, they gave you this, they gave you the position. No matter how many of us may feel about Doc Rivers getting the job, they gave him the position. So now he needs to go out and he needs to fulfill his obligation to the team. It's gotten to the point where it's even pissing off JJ Redick. If you guys don't know, I'm sure most of you do. JJ Redick was a player for, under Doc Rivers when he was with the Clippers, during the mid 2010s runs. And as far as I knew, I didn't know that they had any beef. I thought that, I've never heard anybody really come out and super vouch for Doc Rivers. I never heard anybody besides really fucking Patrick Beverly, period, ever have somebody come out and be like, yo, like the way how you were talking about Doc Rivers is not cool. I thought everybody kind of shared a similar sentiment when it comes to Doc, that he's a decent coach. He's not shitty, you know what I'm saying? He's not going to ruin your franchise, but he's not really going to be the guy that takes you guys over the hump either. But JJ Redick came out super hot, you know what I'm saying, on First Take, basically saying the same stuff that I'm saying. Like, my man, shut the fuck up and just coach the team. Like, all this bitching you doing, setting up all these excuses, like, JJ made the point to say that he did not take accountability for anything, which has been a sentiment that has been, has followed him around the last couple of years. You know what I'm saying? I believe last year in Philly, he caught himself, kind of blaming James Harden as to why the team wasn't able to get over the hump. Remember when Ben was there, they were saying, is Ben Simmons able to be a point guard for a championship team? And he was kind of just like, yeah, I'm not sure, after the whole, dropping off the pass against Trae Young thing. And listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's wrong, in that moment for saying like, I'm not sure if Ben Simmons can be a starting point guard for a championship team, because as we can clearly see now, he probably can't be. He doesn't have the temperament to come out here and actually lead a team to a championship or be like, a driving force for that. So I'm not saying that he's wrong for the way how he's speaking on the players. I'm saying that he's wrong for the time that he's coming out and he's doing all this stuff. Because it can't be that, all right, the series ends, you're in your press game, your post-game presser, and you catch yourself, whether you want to call it blaming or not, but, kind of shifting blame to other people. Like, that's, no matter how you slice it, me, as somebody who has played basketball in the past, if I had a coach come out and do that, I'd be like, yo, bro, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird. Like, you expect your coach to have your back in those moments, and it seems like time and time again, Doc Rivers does not have the backs of his players, which is just kind of bizarre. And I guess that kind of like adds to why you don't really hear people come out and vouch for Doc Rivers all that heavy. But to have a former player like JJ Redick, and then you have I believe it was Marcin Gortat, he's over here, thumbsing up with JJ saying, it's like, this just seems to be like an actual storyline that surrounds this guy. He's the guy who really struggles with taking accountability. He's a guy who, he blames his shortcomings on other people. And whether you want to say that it's 100% Doc Rivers' fault or not, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, for him to be, he's a coach who has the most blown 3-1 leads in NBA history, but most blown 3-2 leads in NBA history. You can blame that on him. Yes, you absolutely can blame that on him. I will not be the one to say he's absolved of all that, but at the same time, you do have to put some of that on the players too, because he's not, like, somebody made a valid point. They say that once a series goes to 6 or 7 games, at that point it's really only so much coaching you can do. You're not going to make really many adjustments that are going to really change, the course of the series after you get to that 6 and 7 game. Once you get to game 6 and 7, it's really just about who wants it more, who's able to make the right plays down the stretch to lead their team to that victory. So I get it if you don't want to put it all on Doc Rivers, but as a coach, from what you expect a coach to do, usually the coach is the person who goes down with the ship before anybody, maybe even before a star player might go down with the ship. That the coach is supposed to be the one to say, hey, I let us down, I wasn't able to lead us where we wanted to go, and for that, now we're going home. To see a coach not do that, it's just weird. It's weird, and it leaves a very, very weird taste in people's mouth. So, listen, I'm glad for the Bucks. You know what I'm saying? Looks like the Bucks are starting to, understand, they understand where they are at this point in the season. Like I said, they're on a little 3-game winning streak. Giannis has been playing good. Dame has been playing better. They're trying to get Dame to really get back into his Portland form. And in terms of belief in the Bucks, I'm not even sure where exactly I am on this, because I think that I do want to believe that a team with Giannis and Dame has what it takes to make a conference finals at the very least. Like, they should be able to get us to a Bucks Celtics conference finals. But when you see just the kind of questions that arise with this team, when you see how they're just not a good defensive team, or how you see that ever since Doc came, I think actually it flipped. I think ever since Doc came, they become a better defensive team, but now they're a worse offensive team. Like, it seems like they can't seem to get on that same wavelength. And that's something that they were able to do when they had Budenholzer. You know what I'm saying? Not so much Adrian Griffin, because Adrian Griffin was also heavy offense, no defense. But with Budenholzer, they were able to be top 10 offense, top 10 defense, or, top 10 offense, top 15 defense. They were able to be, in that mix as one of the most dangerous teams. But it seems like with them losing Drew Holiday, with Chris Middleton still not really being up to 100% ever since that injury a couple years ago. I guess, Brook Lopez getting older. They don't have a player like a PJ Tucker or a Jay Crowder to really add like that defensive oomph to the team. And, you got guys like Malik Beasley, who's not really a defender. They just brought in Patrick Beverley. So they are a team who has spot defenders on different parts of the court. Like, they probably have the best defending front court. If you want to say Giannis and Brook, best defending front court. But outside of that, they don't have much, to stop people on the perimeter. So them trying to actually find that balance and be a team that can both kill you offensively and defensively and be able to beat you in different ways, I feel like they're going to struggle mightily when it comes to getting to that level of production, just because I don't think that they have the personnel, and there's not really much personnel out there that can really, fix that all too much. Like, you got PJ Tucker is like, yo, God, somebody please free me out and out from LA. Like, I'm not getting any PT here. But even so, I don't think that adding just one PJ Tucker is going to be enough to shift you to, make a shift in your defense. I think they are just ultimately lacking when it comes to that defensive guard. Because even Javon Carter, they lost Javon Carter. He's a good defensive backup point guard. He's gone. You bring in Campaign. They just don't have the pieces on the perimeter, and I think that's something that's going to really be a problem for them going forward. Because when you look on the Eastern Conference, a lot of the best players out there are perimeter dominated players. You got your Jason Tatums, you know what I'm saying? You got your Tyrese Halliburtons, you got your Tyrese Maxeys, you got your Jalen Brunsons. Really a lot of guys that are going to kill you on the perimeter, and if they don't have they need to either have a defense that can either combat that, or they need to have an offensive player that can keep up with that. And so they either need Dame to flip that switch and become Portland Dame, or they're really going to have to find a real answer on defense. So that's gonna be something to look forward to. You know what I'm saying? I wish the best for the Bucks. And yeah, Doc, just coach the team, bro. You don't gotta do all this back and forth shit, bro. Just coach the team. You already got the job, bro. You're good. Alrighty, let's roll on to our second discussion here. So, if you are a avid listener of sports media like I am, you have probably heard about the face of the league discussion multiple times this year. Over the last couple of weeks. People are saying, oh, who is going to be the face of the league after, LeBron and Steph leave? You know what I'm saying? Who's going to fill that void? And you know what I'm saying? I've heard a bunch of names brought up. I've heard Shea. I've heard Luka. I've heard Anthony Edwards. I've heard Jason Tatum. And I hear all these names, and I don't mean to sound like, the old man hater of the group, but I don't see any of those guys right now as the face of the league. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it could be not up to this point. You know what I'm saying? We saw in a league where we do have LeBron and Steph that are carrying the torch and everything. But when it comes to that handoff, when it comes to who will be next up, I don't really see, I get the Anthony Edwards argument. I think that Anthony Edwards has the personality for it. He has an endearing personality that people like. His game is exciting. It's above the rim. You know what I'm saying? He has the swagger on the court. Like, he has what it takes in the physical aspects of it, and even the personality aspects of it. But he doesn't have the temperament, I don't think. I don't think that really any player currently has the temperament to be that face of the league, because to me, to be the face of the league, you have to be somebody who, yes, we understand that you are a beast on the basketball court. We understand that you can average 30 points a game. You know what I'm saying? You can lead a team to the playoffs, lead a team, deep in the playoffs, deep finals run, all that good stuff. But you also need to be somebody who's going to push the game forward, somebody who's going to be, you are somebody who you give hype to the WNBA, you give hype to young college players, you give hype to young high school players. Like, that's something that I really respect about LeBron, is that LeBron is not a hater in any aspect of any of this basketball shit. The way how old heads hate on a regular basis in the NBA, LeBron does not. You don't see LeBron coming out and making petty comments about Wemby because he's getting all this hype. People have been calling prospects the next LeBron James for as long as I can remember. And you've never seen LeBron come out and be like, that nigga's not like me. That nigga's not like me. He's not me. He's not me. He's just like, yeah, hell yeah, the next LeBron. I hope so. I'm a big fan of your game. Like, he's somebody who is pushing the basketball agenda forward, because we don't really want this kind of back and forth and constant bickering between. We don't want that to be NBA discourse. That's where we are currently, and me personally, I don't like it. I think it's annoying as hell. I don't know how people are able to really enjoy themselves being, constantly in these debates where it's just like the most dumbed down version of the game where nothing else matters but the postseason. You know what I'm saying? But we need somebody who's going to be able to hype up the younger generation coming up. So that's number one. All right, that's number one for me in terms of being able to, be the face of the game. You gotta have a clean record. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we've had a face of the league that has been, really, really deep in legal troubles or anything along those matters. And I'm saying, luckily, thank God, none of the young guys in the league right now really have that right now, except for potentially Ja Morant. But I'm glad that I just said that because I forgot I didn't even bring up Ja as a possible for this face of the league thing. But I guess my main point is that I just don't think that any of the young guys right now have the mind. You know what I'm saying? They don't have what it takes upstairs to be the face of the league. You know what I'm saying? Who's going to be somebody who's going to come out and not be afraid to try hard in the All-Star game? Who's somebody who's going to always take that opportunity to play for Team USA? Somebody who's going to, show up to things like, the Rucker, show up to the Drew League, show up to the Seattle Pro-Am, show up to Venice Beach, things like that are just going to continue to push the culture of basketball forward. And ultimately, the names that they've been bringing up, I just don't think that any of them have that. You know what I'm saying? People, they were saying Giannis and Luka and Jokic, and they're talking about the possibility how potentially not even an American person can be the face of the league. I'm not sure if that's a possibility in a league that does reside in the United States, only because I don't think that really outside of fans of those teams, so fans of the Nuggets, fans of the Bucks, fans of the Mavericks, I don't think there's many real people in the United States who are like, I love Luka Doncic. I think that Luka Doncic, you might think he's the best player in the league, but you don't think that, when you think NBA, you don't think Luka Doncic. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would probably be like the third or fourth name you get to when you think of the NBA. Because you got LeBron James, we won. You got Stephen Curry. You know what I'm saying? Those are just, you think NBA, you see those faces, LeBron and Steph. Then after that, you might see a Joel, or you might not even Joel. You might see a Tatum. You might see a Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna see, you're gonna default to a more American-born player first. I think that's just because we are Americans, most of us in this country, so we should go to them. So I don't know if a European player even can be the face of the league just because of the popularity aspect of it. And also at the same time, I don't think that a lot of the European guys even have the desire to be the face of the NBA. They just like coming over here and busting niggas' ass, honestly. Like, you hear Giannis say, like, I don't even really watch film. Like, I really just go out there and I cook. Whenever you talk to Jokic is basically just like, bro, I'm just here so I can feed the family and make sure that my horses got somewhere to live. You got Luka. Luka's just over there just smiling at people. Luka's just a super cool dude. You know what I'm saying? None of them really have. I mean, like, Giannis did at one point kind of have like that attitude or feel where you felt like he wanted to be the guy to take the torch. But in the recent years, it just feels like he doesn't quite have what it takes. But I will say, I have the question of if an international player can be the best player, not the best player, but if the international player can be the face of the NBA, and I don't think that any of the current guys have it. However, if there is one guy who I think really, really has potential to be the face of the NBA, it really would be two guys. I have an American guy and I have a European guy. So the first guy, we're going to go with the American guy first, who I think has the ability to be the face of the league. It's not Jason Tatum. It's not Anthony Edwards. It's going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think that Shai has the appeal that will apply to women, that'll apply to men. He just has that kind of appeal where you are drawn to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, as an athlete, you like the way how he plays the game. You know what I'm saying? He's very silky smooth on the floor. He's very textbook, very fundamental when it comes to getting to his spots and elevating over people and knocking shots down. And then you would call me crazy, but I think in order for you to be the face of the league, you have to be somebody that the women will reside with. Women fucking love LeBron James. Everybody knows that when LeBron was in Miami, you had Rihanna, you know what I'm saying, coming out talking about he's the king, and niggas were like, whoa, that's Rihanna, bro. Like, that's Rihanna. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be able to appeal to the women also. You can't appeal to just the men, because that is why Kelly Oubre is not the face of the NBA, because he doesn't really appeal to the men like that. His game is cool, but he don't really got the yang to really be who he want to be. But the bitches, bro, they see this nigga with his curly hair and this nigga, yo, like, come on, man, light-skinned bitches love this nigga, but he didn't have what it takes for the guys. I think that Shai's got the game, he's got the fashion sense, and he's got the looks that'll appeal to everybody, and that when people think NBA, once he's able to get some belts underneath his ring, or some rings underneath his belt, or some championships into his case, he's going to be somebody that is going to drive the league forward for years to come. And I think he also has the personality and the cool aspect of he will carry it with pride. You know what I'm saying? He won't be somebody who's like, nah, man, I just want to hoop. Like, he's just like, he I've seen his interview, he comes out and he says, I want to be the best. I want to dominate. I want to be up there with the names of, with the likes of Kobe and Bron and MJ. I want to be one of those guys. And that's what you need. You need to have that drive to want to be one of the best players that ever played this game. And I think that Shai has got that. All right, so that's number one. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Number two, this is going to be maybe a little controversial because the guy is so young. But let me tell you something. Victor Wembanyama is going to be the face of this league at some point. He's got it all. Outside of the skill, he's got the skill set that if you're a fan of the game, it just blows you away. The guy is 7 foot tall, but he has the ability to dribble through people like a guard. He can maneuver around people, and then he's also 7'4" to the point where he can just go over and just punch it on your head. He's got everything you want in terms of being a basketball player. He's a good defender. He's a good shot blocker. He's got good hands when it comes to stealing the ball. He's just immensely talented. He can shoot the basketball. When it comes to things that he can do on the basketball court, there's nothing that he cannot do. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that was a real way to put that. But when it comes to things that he can do on the basketball court, he has no limits. He can do whatever he can. There's nothing that anybody can do to stop him on that front. When it comes to the off the court stuff, he's got the temperament for it. He already kind of seems like he's cut from the cloth of like the Michael Jordan legend. You know what I'm saying? He's telling his people, yo, don't talk to me past 9:30. Don't call me past 9:30 because I'm asleep by 10:30. I read for an hour and then I go to bed because I'm trying to be great. But coming into the draft, he said, talking about, I do special training every single day with my feet to make sure that my feet are in top tier condition so I don't have any foot injuries. I stretch like a madman all the time. This is all like, and then you hear him in his interviews. He wants to be great. I remember I was watching, I believe it was Jamal Crawford. He was being interviewed by somebody, and he was saying, yo, I saw Wemby when they played against the Hawks, and you know, I saw him. He was in the gym working out, and he sees me. He comes over, he shakes my hand, and he just puts his head down. He just listens to me. He's just like, hey, he wants some knowledge. He wants some game. The kid wants to be great, and he already has the tools to be very, very good. So if he ever gets a team, or you know what I'm saying, that kind of right piece around him that'll make him this all-around piece, there's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind that Wemby can be the face of the league. You know what I'm saying? I think right now he's had some lacking issues in the personality department. I don't think he's quite as interesting as he can be. I think that, you know, his English has to come a little bit forward for him to be able to kind of, you know, speak and be understood clearly. But my man, when it comes to the temperament of the guy, when it comes to what the guy can do on the basketball court, he checks all the boxes. He checks all the boxes, and you can just see it. This is only the beginning of where he's going to be. During a 4-game stretch at some point over the last couple of games, he averaged 25 points a game, 12 rebounds a game, 6 assists a game, 6 blocks a game, 3 steals per game in under 30 minutes. This is the worst that he's going to be, and we're talking about 25, 12, 6, 6, and 3. The guy is ridiculous. and it's only going to get worse. So I think that the further we get into it, the more that he's able to dominate, the more games he has against, Joel Embiid and Jokic and Giannis, he's able to create. You know what I'm saying? Because he's already left this fucking rivalry with Chet in the past. You know what I'm saying? He's already surpassed Chet. Like, I feel like when the season started, they were both on the same, wavelength. You know what I'm saying? They're both very solid players. They do similar things. You can kind of, pick your poison on who you think is better. At this point, as of February 27, 2024, there is no doubt in my mind, Wemby is way better than Chet. And that's no disrespect to Chet, because Chet is extremely talented as well. Do not get me wrong. Chet is extremely good at basketball. I love what he does and what he brings. He's not Wemby. He's not the force multiplier that, because you get Wemby a good teammate, you get Wemby a Trae Young, boy, you get Wemby a Trae Young and some decent defenders, he winning a championship by year 3. If the Spurs are able to get Trae Young during this off season, because they're talking about potentially trading him, the Spurs will win a championship within the next 3 years. No doubt in my mind. You can bookmark this one right here. Basketball Weekly episode 1. You can bookmark right here. If the Spurs get Trae, they will win a championship within 3 years. Because Trae Young is already somebody he's a force multiplier in his own right. Without Trae Young, the Atlanta Hawks suck ass. Right? They're not great with him, but without him, they are terrible. But you give him somebody who covers up his defensive deficiencies like Wemby, my nigga, you ain't gotta worry about nothing no more. Cause Trae's still gonna bob him from 30, and then you got him being able to just make Wemby's life so easy. Cause at that point, he's just throwing pinpoint passes to the rim, and Wemby just dropping them in. He has the opportunity to average over 30 points a game. Like, Wemby's got it. So that's when it comes to the face of the league discussion. I just think that everybody needs to cool it out. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully somebody can emerge. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully a Tatum can emerge. Hopefully a Ja Morant can emerge. Hopefully a Zion can emerge. You know what I'm saying? I still got hope in Zion. I'm so sad that everybody has left Zion out of all these conversations, because Zion's not having an amazing season, but he's having a super, super solid year. And, I think that, you know what I'm saying, he still has what it takes to be that face of the league. He just needs to get rid of all the other bullshit surrounding his name right now. Like, I don't even want to further feed into it. We're just going to speed past it. But, come on. That's what we got for our face of the league discussion. All right. There was a little bit of a scuffle between the Heat and the Pelicans. Apparently it stemmed from somebody shooting the basketball when the game was over. People got mad. I think it was Thomas Bryant and Jose Alvarado. They got mad. One thing leads to another, and Jimmy Butler is choking out Naji Marshall, or Naji Marshall choking out Jimmy Butler. It was just so much going on. It was just so confusing, and it just had me thinking, what the fuck is this stupid ass rule about I can't score if I have a lead with a couple minutes left on the clock? What the hell is that even about? That's so dumb. If you don't want me to score, bitch, block the shot. I don't understand this unwritten rule, because it's gotten even to a point where even the old heads, where people are saying that the rule originated from, they're saying, when did this become a rule? Because I believe it's been multiple times in the past couple of weeks, we've had these little tussles break out, because guys are like, why are you shooting the ball? The game's over. Why are you shooting the ball? The game's over. It's like, bro, I'm shooting the ball because I got stats, bitch. You know what I'm saying? My contract is fucking incentive based, my nigga. If they said I gotta hit 100 threes and I'm over here getting a wide open 3 with 30 seconds left, nigga, I'm gonna knock that down. That's one towards 100. That's 1% of what I need to get to my goal. Like, what is niggas bitching at me for? Like, get mad at the 122 points before that. Don't worry about these last 3, nigga. Like, it's just so confusing to me. I remember the very, very first time that I saw this. I believe it was the game against, I believe it was the Pacers and the Raptors, I believe. And Lance Stephenson came, he hits a layup, he walking back to the bench. All of a sudden, DeMar DeRozan and PJ Tucker roll up, like, oh, you a B, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, whoa. And they're like, nah, you don't do shit like that. And I'm just like, why not? Everybody's just like, why not? I've yet to meet one person who is like, yo, this is Bush League. This is unacceptable. This is disrespectful. Nigga, you don't want them to score. Just play fucking defense. You know what I'm saying? And for them to, have this little tussle and it result in Jimmy gets suspended for a game, Nazi gets suspended for a game, and then you got players like Thomas Bryant and Jose Alvarado who, aren't the richest guys in the world. I'm pretty sure Jose just got paid this past summer, and I think Thomas Bryant got a decent deal also. But you got them missing multiple games because they're trying to defend for the honor for this random rule that doesn't even make any sense. That's just like one of those stupid ass rules that I just strictly don't. I just don't understand it. I don't understand why you make that like well, you gonna fight over that, bro? Just like I said, bro, worry about the other 120 points you scored on you, bro. These last 3 are not gonna hurt you. So yeah, that was just something that happened this year. And the last thing we will get into before we start our main discussion of the video. Caitlin Clark apparently has draft odds. Right? So, as everybody knows, Caitlin Clark is a senior who has the possibility to return back for her a 5th year because of the COVID year. So she has the opportunity to come back to return to Iowa, right? So the odds for her to return to Iowa start off at plus 150. People think that she's more than likely going to return to Iowa. I also believe that she will go back and return for a 5th year because it just financially it makes more sense for her to stay in college and get as much money as she possibly can. And there's that WNBA is not going anywhere, so she can go in there, she can cash out, she can maximize that, and then she'll be able to go into the WNBA in 2025. But so for her to declare for the draft this year, it's minus 200, right? Which is even odds, right? So for Caitlin Clark to lead the WNBA in points per game in 2024, right? It's plus 400, which is not crazy odds by any means, right? For her to win MVP as a rookie in 2024 is plus 600. I think we're kind of losing it now. Iowa to win the national championship, plus 700. Iowa's not a very good team. They just have Caitlin Clark, but you gotta give her the hope. Here's the thing that made me even want to talk about this. Caitlin Clark to be drafted by an NBA team is at plus 50,000, and Caitlin Clark to be drafted by the Detroit Pistons is plus 100,000. My nigga. If you catch yourself putting down even $1, even 100 pennies on Caitlin Clark to be drafted by an NBA team, call the fucking hotline, bro. Call the hotline, because you cannot justify to me an example in a world where you really need to place this bet as if it's an actual possibility. I like Caitlin Clark. She's not going to the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just need to get that out the way. She has a better chance of playing professional basketball in Turkey than she does at actually playing in the NBA. Let's just start there. The fact that these sports books are even putting this possibility for her to get drafted by an NBA team that's some sick shit. All right, that's some nasty work, right? And let me tell you why. Because you know. There's some degenerate out there who's been trying to get rich off these parlays ever since sports betting became illegal to the mass public. They're just trying to cash out, and they're like, yo, there's a possibility, there's a chance, there is an iota of hope that maybe, just maybe, Caitlin Clark not only forgoes her 5th year, not only forgoes the WNBA, she says, I'm putting my name into the National Basketball Association draft. Call the number, bro. You've got problems that not a lot of people can help you with. All right? I really just threw that in there just because once I saw that it was a possibility for you to bet on this, I had to speak on it because I need you to hear my voice when I say, don't you dare. Don't you dare. You cannot parlay that with anything that will make it make sense. It is plus 100,000 for a reason, because they're just trying to see who they need to fucking, who they need to send out the pamphlets to. Got a gambling addiction? Need some help? Come on, bro. You better off joining the military, bro. Join the military, bro. Get your mind right. Ridiculous. But let's go ahead and let's get into the brunt of our episode. So, Today, we will be describing NBA teams and their situations using 5 words or less. Now, this is something that I've actually seen on YouTube with a bunch of other people surrounding a bunch of other different topics. So I thought it'd be pretty cool to actually try it in the basketball sense, because I don't think that anybody's actually ever done that. So if you're not sure how this works, we're going to start with our team. So very first team, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. We have 5 words to describe this team's current situation. All right. Very, very self-explanatory. So let's go ahead and we'll start from the top. Number 1, the Milwaukee Bucks. Our 5 words to describe them are: they're still in it, but they also have no hope. Now, I also did not write down my thought process when I was writing these down, because I wanted to just try to use the 5 words to kind of figure out where exactly my mind was. So they're still in it, but they have no hope. So what I meant by that was, I understand that the Milwaukee Bucks have probably one of the best duos in all of basketball. They might not seem like it right now, but when things are rolling at a top speed, we think that Giannis and we think that Dame is one of the best duos that basketball has to offer, right? So with that being said, I firmly believe that come playoff time, and it's really going to be about stars. It's going to be about who has the best players on the court, and I think that going into most series in the East, the Bucks will have the 2 top players in any given series. So I think that they are still in it, but at the exact same time, I think that they have no hope, which is, you know what I'm saying, that's crazy, because I feel like, and that stems back to just really how I feel about Doc Rivers. I don't think that Doc Rivers has what it takes to lead a team over the hump. You know what I'm saying? It's only happened one time in his entire career, and that was one time 16 years ago. You know, and I like to give the guy benefit of the doubt. I thought that there were chances where he had opportunity to beat the Celtics in the playoffs last year. I thought that he had opportunity to make the conference finals with the Clippers a couple times. And I get that things happen where players get injured, and you know what I'm saying, unforeseen things happen. But time and time again, bro, if you're constantly not being able to get over the hump, we have to start asking the question if you'll ever be able to get us over the hump. All right. Number 2, the Chicago Bulls. Right here, I wrote down, where are we going? Right? Where are we going, Chicago? Chicago is a decent team, right? Let me actually pull up the standings here, because I want to... Okay, let me pull up the standings here, because I actually want to be able to see them while I'm talking about it. But yeah, the Chicago Bulls, they're a decent team, you know what I'm saying? They're on the team that's in the bottom 5 of the Eastern Conference, and they had an opportunity this past trade deadline to kind of start fresh. They could have traded guys like Vooch, traded guys like DeMar, traded guys like Zach LaVine, and they decided to hold on to all 3 of them. They decided to hold on to all 3 of them. And then there are reports coming out of Chicago saying that they will potentially run it back the following season. And the only thing that is confusing about that is the fact that you don't really have a clear direction. It's not like they have a piece that they're really building around. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of just like in this limbo, in a place where the Pacers were for a very long time before they got their guy. You know what I'm saying? And the Bulls have a young guy who is very talented. You know what I'm saying? Kobe White has finally he's finally arrived this season as a guy who's going to be probably a big player for them going forward. But even so, I don't think that Kobe White is a player that you're going to build your entire team around. So you're kind of just like, where are we going, Chicago? Like, is DeMar DeRozan going to be our future? What's the plan with Zach LaVine? Because Zach LaVine is now out for the season. When it was reported that he was potentially going to be traded to the Detroit Pistons, he decided, I'm just gonna opt out for season-ending surgery so that you guys can't do that. And now we have the Bulls in limbo. Like I said, they're not a terrible team. They're 27-30, so they're almost a 500 team. They're in the 9 seed, so they're a play-in team. But they're kind of in that purgatory spot where you don't want to be in. Like for the longest, the Pacers and the Magic were those teams where they kind of just were teetering between either play-in or falling out of the play-in, and you weren't really sure where they were headed. But they got their young guys. They got Tyrese Halliburton. They got Paolo and Franz and all those guys in Benedict Mathurin and whatnot in Indiana. And now they're a team that you can see the trend for them. And Chicago is very stagnant. very, very stagnant. And I don't think they had the pieces really right now that are going to put them in a position where they are able to get that trajectory going in the right direction. All right. For the Boston Celtics, there's really no excuses, man. There's no excuses for you guys. You guys have the best record in the NBA. You guys are 75-12, 32-6 record in the conference, 26-3 at home, 19-9 on the road. Winners of 8 games in a row. You guys have no holes. You guys have no deficiencies. There's no reason for you guys to not reach the NBA Finals. And realistically, depending on who you face, there's no reason for you guys not to win the NBA Finals. I understand that they kind of, the Boston Celtics kind of give me like San Francisco 49ers energy, where they have everything. They have everything that you would want in a championship team, but for some reason I cannot confidently put them in the championship. You know what I'm saying? Because you just feel like come playoff time, something's going to go wrong. Something is not going to go as planned, and they're going to be upset and abruptly be exited out of the playoffs. Like last year when they got to the series against Miami, I was rooting for Miami, but the reason why I was rooting for Miami is because I knew that the Celtics are shaky. Their 2 stars are shaky as hell. You know what I'm saying? And all you have to do is apply a little bit of pressure, and you saw once the Miami Heat applied pressure to the Boston Celtics, they cracked all around. Marcus Smart cracked, Jason Tatum cracked, Jaylen Brown cracked. They were down 3-0 as they were the 2 seed last year. They were the 3 seed? Yeah, they were the 2 seed last year playing against an 8 seed, and they found themselves down 3-0. Now they were able to flip it around and get it back to a 3-3 series, and then they get blown out in game 7. I understand that Tatum has, an ankle injury where that kind of derails everything. But why are we in a position where us as the best team, we are over here really being forced to the limit by the 44-38 Miami Heat? Like some things just like that just don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like last year when you saw the Heat lose to the Bucks lose to the Heat, it just didn't make sense to you because they were just so much. The Heat were just not that team, but they had what it took to beat them. And I think that the Celtics can potentially, have a very, very easy playoff run where they're able to, knock out a team like Orlando in the first round, and then they come out and they're able to beat, the Knicks or the Bucks in the second round. But you just think that at some point they have the possibility to crumble, and you gotta see it, and you gotta see it before you believe it. And that's really where I am for the Celtics. I gotta see it before I believe it. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell is staying, right? Like we get it. The Cavaliers are amazing, bro. 37-19 are in second place in the East right now. They've had injuries all season long. Darius Garland had a broken jaw. Mobley had injuries. Jared Allen's been in and out of the lineup, but he's been there the last couple times. And the main consistent has been Donovan Mitchell, even though he's missed some time too. But Donovan Mitchell has been able to really single-handedly keep this team afloat to the tune of 37 wins. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're floating around as the 4th, 5th seed. They are the 2nd seed in the entire conference. You know what I'm saying? And for a team that's been battling with injuries, for them to be in this position in the division, you really can only be like, hey, they are only a few pieces away from being able to put it together and being able to potentially make it to an Eastern Conference Finals or potentially make it to an NBA Finals. But none of that even matters if this offseason Donovan Mitchell leaves. All that goes away if Donovan Mitchell does not re-sign with the Cavaliers, and that's as much as you want to be happy in this team and happy about what they're able to do, what they've been able to do during the season. You just have to think it can all come crashing down at the end of this year. As soon as June, it can be over, and they can be back to a team that's going to be fighting for the play-in. Because before Donovan got there, let's just see. Donovan's been there since last year. So before Donovan got there, the Cavaliers were a 9 seed. You were a 1. Let's see. And the year where he was there last year, they were the 4 seed. So just that fast, you go from home court advantage in the playoffs to potentially having to fight for your right to even get into the playoffs. So they got to handle this Donovan Mitchell situation. They can't let him walk like that. That would be detrimental for the Cavaliers franchise. All right. The Charlotte Hornets, they were right all along. You know what I'm saying? Many people, me included, came out and was like, Why didn't you guys draft Scoot? Scoot was so highly seen as the number 2 pick for a majority of people. Now, like I said, I'm not somebody who watches college basketball, so I'm not really sure of the biggest names, but I knew Brandon Miller, and I was like, there's no way in hell this guy is going to be able to be better than Scoot Henderson. And honestly, up to now, I'm not sure if I can definitively say that Brandon Miller will be better than Scoot Henderson. But as of right now, as of today, Brandon Miller was without a doubt the better pick. Scoot has a lot of work he needs to do. You know what I'm saying? In terms of becoming in terms of becoming a more NBA ready player. Brandon Miller has that now. He's got the skill set. He's got the, you know what I'm saying, he's able to finish at the rim. You know what I'm saying? He has a certain aura that hasn't been in Charlotte in a very long time. And that's very, very hard to say because LaMelo Ball is still in Charlotte. But it really seems like to me that Brandon Miller is the guy going forward, not LaMelo. I'm not saying that I would necessarily trade LaMelo, but if we're talking about who are we building in going forward, we're building with Brandon Miller, not LaMelo. And honestly, I think that had they had drafted Scoot with the second pick, I feel like they would still have so many more questions because I don't think that Portland necessarily has all the answers now when it comes to who to build with, you know? So Brandon Miller was the right pick all along. Shout out to the Hornets and Michael Jordan's last dying move as a Hornets owner. Got one right, bro. Congratulations. The Brooklyn Nets, man. The Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets refuse to accept reality. Guys, it's over. It's over. All right? All this shit, the being in contention, the being a good basketball team, having a direction, knowing where you're going, knowing that at the very least you're going to be a playoff team, all that is gone, bro. You guys let it walk out the door. You guys traded James Harden when you brought him in. You guys traded Kyrie Irving. You guys traded Kevin Durant. You guys alienated your superstars at every given possibility and turn. And now it's over. It's over. You're not rebuilding with Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges is not a number 1. Mikal Bridges is not. You're not doing it. Kevin Ollie, fucking Jacques Vaughn was not the problem. The problem is the team sucks. The team is not good. You guys have no direction. You have a team of role players in a league that's dominated by superstars. You guys are paying Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges as if they are needle movers, and they are not. They are not. Adding Mikal Bridges or Cam Johnson to your team does not make you a contender. If you're already a contender, you can be in a better position to contend. But you're not going to go from not a contender to being a contender because you add Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. And having them both on the same being your number 1 makes no sense. You guys botched the whole Ben Simmons thing. And I don't necessarily want to blame you because it's a trade that you had to make. You had to get rid of James. You had to get rid of James, so you did what you had to do. But you guys have just made the wrong moves every single angle for the last 3 or 4 years. Since you guys got KD and Kai, you guys made the wrong move time and time again. Alienating Kyrie Irving, forcing him to apologize because of a movie that he posted on his Instagram. It's ridiculous, man. And you guys blew it. And now you guys are 22-35 with no future because your draft picks are owned by Houston. It's over, bro. It's over. It's about to be over for the next team, too. So the next team is going to be the Atlanta Hawks. All right? So the Atlanta Hawks, what I put here was the Atlanta Hawks are about to ruin everything. They're about to ruin everything. They have a guy in Trae Young that if you are able to put the right pieces around him, you have no reason to believe that he's can't be the best player on your team and win you a championship. I don't think that it's fair to question if Trae Young can be a point guard on a championship team because let's just pull up the stats. All right, I understand stats don't tell the whole story. I understand that he's not a great defender. I understand that he's small. I understand that all this good stuff. But Trae Young, let's see, this year he averages 26 points per game on 43% shooting and 11 assists, with a steal and a half and almost 3 rebounds. Those are super solid numbers, bro. They are. For a guy who is, you got to think, he's not a super tall guy. You know what I'm saying? An average sized person, and he's giving you 26 points and 11 assists a game. The guy in his own right is an offense. Why is he on the trading block? I get why DeJounte Murray is on the trading block. DeJounte Murray, I don't think is a force multiplier in the slightest. But the same way how I can say with confidence that if Wemby gets Trae Young, they're winning a championship. If you give Trae Young the proper pieces that he needs and not just other young guys that you're trying to invest in. Like you guys wanted it to be Cam Reddish. You guys wanted it to be Kevin Huerter. You guys wanted it to be DeAndre Hunter. You guys wanted it to be Onyeka Okongwu. You guys need a certified, solidified star, not somebody who has to grow into it. Because right now, Trae Young is a certified, solidified star. And what you guys are about to do is that you guys are going to reset your entire timeline if you guys trade him. Which would be the worst move you can make because you guys understand that you traded for him by trading Luka Doncic. You do not trade Luka Doncic and then 5 years later trade Trae Young. You don't do it. You don't do it. So don't sell the bag, Atlanta. Do not get rid of Trae Young. It makes absolutely no sense. The Indiana Pacers. Was the Pascal trade good? Like I like when the trade was made, it felt like it was a move that I don't think made any actual waves to me. Like I didn't think that it was going to actually play a part in where the standings in the Eastern Conference are. And it seems like to me the Pacers have gotten kind of worse since they got him. So in 17 games since they traded for him, they're 9-8. So which is they're above 500, so they're a solid team. Their overall record right now is 33-26. They're just kind of middling. I understand they had a couple of issues with Tyrese being hurt and other players having injury and all that good stuff. But I'm gonna guess that the idea behind the Pascal trade is that even that you have a second star in Pascal Siakam, you think that Pascal Siakam and Mikal Bridges and Miles Turner and Benedict Mathurin and those other young pieces are going to be enough to kind of get you to that, across the finish line for a couple of games if Tyrese can't play. But it seems like even with Pascal, even with Tyrese in the lineup, they still don't have really what it takes. So you really want to hope that come around playoff time they're able to be rolling on all cylinders. But it seems like they've been going through this very, very long meshing period that can potentially derail the season. All the hope they had at the beginning of the season. Alrighty. The New York Knickerbockers. They have bad injuries, but they have even worse timing. I think that it really sucks right now for the Knicks to be going through what they're going through. Jalen Brunson's playing MVP basketball. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of how you feel about the Becky Hammon comments, you cannot say that Jalen Brunson has not been playing MVP level basketball this year. You know what I'm saying? He's led this Knicks team to the fourth best record in the East. There's 35-23. They made a lot of moves. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people were saying that the Knicks were the winners of the trade deadline because they were able to bring in more valuable pieces. They're bringing in Alec Burks. I believe they brought in Bogdanovich also. So they got better, but at the same time, they're also facing these crippling injuries. Before the trade deadline, they were able to bring in OG. OG, when he played, was like a glove fit for the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? He was a perfect player that fit around what Thibodeau likes to do. But now at this point, he's missed a couple of games. He had to get elbow surgery. Not entirely sure when he's coming back. You kind of just think that, dang, like when he comes back, is like I have to go through another gelling period where they have to kind of like bring it back in. And then Julius Randle has been out for a very, very long time. I'm not even entirely sure what the injury is with Julius, but Julius Randle has missed a lot of time recently. And you got to think, man, he's a guy that is a high ball. He's a ball dominant player. So you're not really just gonna bring him back and be able to give him a couple of touches here and there. Like there's gonna be whole possessions where he wants to come out and ISO. He wants to come out and be the main focus with the ball. And for a team that hasn't really been playing like that recently because of the way how Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo and the rest of these guys move the basketball, it's gonna be kind of like culture shock for them to have to go back to these couple of possessions where they're going high post to Julius, and Julius just has to, they're gonna let Julius cook. So the Knicks need to get healthy, and need to get healthy fast. All right, the Detroit Pistons. They're going to have the first player to refuse a Supermax, and that player will be Cade Cunningham because the Detroit Pistons are a shit show of a franchise that have no direction and no motive. They did a great job. They did a good job of bringing in Monty. I think they did a good job at drafting Asar, but I'm not sure what it is. Something about Detroit just reeks. It's not good. They're just not a good team. They're not. I mean, they've been a competitive team as of lately, but when you go through when you lose 27 games in the middle of a season, I think that a lot of players think about leaving that. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Cade Cunningham was the first player in NBA history to refuse the rookie supermax and go into restricted free agency, which they could match him, but you gotta hope somebody throws a bag at him and gets him out of here. All right, the Philadelphia 76ers, they are relying on Joel's health again. So another season, another time where the Sixers are over here holding on to their breath, hoping that Joel Embiid is able to perform come playoff time with another injury. This time he had the meniscus flap tear or whatever the hell it was called. Yeah, man, they're just right back where they always will be. I don't think the 76ers really have an actual hope at winning anything this year because, once Joel has that injury, he's kind of doesn't really come back the exact same player. And they already were a team that was limited after trading James Harden. So I just think that they're really just missing a lot of weapons when it comes to potentially being able to compete with teams like Milwaukee and Boston and the Knicks. And so I guess we'll know by the first round of the playoffs really just like where the Sixers are. Because I'm pretty sure that as it stands right now, they would face off with the Knicks in the first round. So yeah, we'll see where they are. We'll see where they are when that time rolls around. Joel Embiid is supposed to be out until I believe beginning of April. So you hope that the team doesn't fall too much since then, but they probably won't fall out of the play-in, but they could potentially fall into the play-in because they are only one game up on the Pacers and the Heat. So not great times in Philly. For the Raptors, is Scottie, DeMar, Vince, or Kawhi? Now I ain't gonna lie, I think I cooked with this one. I think this is actually a great five words to describe the Raptors because they need to find out is Scottie going to be their 10-year player who is able to make them a competitive team, make them a very very good team, make them a potentially even as high as a 1 seed in the East, but never be able to get over that hump like DeMar DeRozan? Are they going to be somebody like? Is he going to be somebody like Vince who kind of just puts the team on the map, makes them exciting to watch, all that good stuff? Or is he actually going to be Kawhi Leonard and actually have what it takes to lead this team over the hump and take them to the championship? I think that he has the skill set and the ability to kind of play that Kawhi mode. It really just depends on how they fill out the rest of the roster. I don't think they have a bad roster right now. I like what they're doing with RJ and Quickly, and they got Grady Richard, and they got Precious Achiuwa. Like they have very very solid names over there. But I believe they're going to lose Gary Trent Jr. this offseason. So it really just depends on like how they build the roster out around them. You can tell that this year is definitely going to be a rebuilding year for them. Them kind of just trying to get it together because what I'm saying, they lose Fred last offseason. Fred goes to Houston. They trade Pascal to Indiana. OG goes to the Knicks, and now they're like, hey, Scottie, it's your time to shine. So really, it's just about figuring out what kind of player Scottie's going to be. All right. So the Miami Heat are in prime position to attack, I guess. So they're currently 32-25, 6th seed in the East, 13 games back of the first place, but they're only like 6.5 games out for the or 5.5 games out for the second seed. And Jimmy Butler's out here saying like it's about that time. So I don't want to be the person to be like, hey, the Miami Heat have no chance. Like I also want to be the person to come out here and vote for them to beat an actual team in the one of these good teams in the East. But I wouldn't be surprised because we've seen it time and time again when they're able to really lock in on an opponent. Like no other team in the league. They're able to really dissect the team down, figure out their weaknesses, and really create that kind of a very very difficult matchup for them. So yeah, I think they got them right where they want them, right there. They're smack dab in the middle. They're not really talked about too much. People are kind of not sure, or are the Heat good, or blah blah blah. And then this is where they go in there and they make people think. So here they go. The Washington Wizards. It is time to begin Operation Fix Jordan Poole. All right, the Washington Wizards, when they made the trade for Jordan Poole, I believe they felt like they had got a player who had the ability to average over 20 points per game and be a very, very interesting piece for a young Washington team. Now this year they have not gotten that by any stretch of the imagination. He has not been good at all. He's had a couple of moments here and there, but he's been benched. He's lost. He's had very, very questionable moments on the floor with bad turnovers and terrible shots. He's been arguing with his teammates like Danny Avdija and saying things like this is his team. He's not even the best player on the team. So it's just kind of been it's been an experience for Washington to say the least. And I think that they're at a point now where his value has dwindled down so low to the point where they have no choice but to fix him. Washington needs to be the place where Jordan Poole is able to get his feet back and actually become a decent basketball player again. Or if not, his career will end in Washington, D.C. It's just as simple as that. They're not a good team, so there really is no excuse for him to come out here and be averaging 13 or 15 points a game or having games where he's shooting 4 for 17, 5 for 20. Because this is a guy who won a championship just a couple years ago, a guy who got paid because he was a vital piece for a championship team. And he gets punched in the face and you feel for him, but you can't fall off the entire cliff and let go of the rope that bad. So Washington has no choice but to fix Jordan Poole, and Jordan Poole has no choice but to fix himself. Because if not, Detroit, if not, Washington will have to make a decision on what they'll want to do with a player who is a net negative on the basketball court and a net negative on their finances. So, and last but not least, we are upon the Orlando Magic. This will be the last team of the Eastern Conference. Now, the Orlando Magic, for them, I put down a new process has begun. And what made me write this down was the fact that over the last couple of years, you've seen kind of the Magic go through a similar process that the Philadelphia 76ers went through. They were at the bottom of the conference, I believe, as much as 5-6 years ago. I'm saying? They're getting over the whole Dwight Howard thing still. They're just a kind of a middling team that has Nikola Vucevic and Aaron Gordon, and then they refreshed. They start fresh. They go from scratch. They traded Vooch. They traded Aaron Gordon. They trade Gary Harris. I don't know. Gary Harris got traded to them, but they trade Gary. Not Gary Harris. They trade Aaron Gordon. They trade Nikola Vucevic, and now they're starting fresh. They're bringing in pieces like Franz. They're bringing in pieces like Mo Wagner. They get their guy, Paolo Banchero, a guy that you can see now, in his second year that he has what it takes to be a number one in this league. He has the skill set. He has the demeanor. He has the attitude for it, that he actually cares about this. He wants to be one of the best players in the NBA right now, and you love to see that. And you can see them as they steadily climb each year. They start off at the bottom of the conference. Now they're fighting for a playing position. Now this year they're the 8th seed in the East, and they're almost guaranteed to be winning almost guaranteed to be making the postseason this year, whether it be playing game or the actual postseason. So they're just in prime position to really just constantly be ascending. And they get good draft picks every year, and they've been hitting on these draft picks. They're able to bring in Wendell Carter from Chicago. They bring in Gary Harris. They're able to bring in Markelle Fultz from Philadelphia, and they're just able to kind of just keep these pieces around. And now they're in a position where they can either ship pieces out and get other pieces back, or they can try to get draft capital. They're in complete control of their situation. So the Orlando Magic, they have begun a new process. Hopefully it doesn't last as long as the Philadelphia process, but only time will tell. All right, so we are an hour into this episode. We still have 15 teams to go, so I'm really gonna have to speed run the Western Conference here. Alrighty, Minnesota Timberwolves. I put don't sleep, man. Don't sleep. I hear a lot of people are saying that, the Minnesota Timberwolves are a young team, they haven't really been there before, so I wouldn't be surprised if a more experienced team like the Lakers or the Warriors are able to come through and knock them off. And I wouldn't be so confident to say that, only because the one thing that the Timberwolves do, their offense can be a little shaky at times. They play defense. They are a defensive juggernaut of a team. And I think that when you're facing a team against the Lakers, or a team like the Golden State Warriors, or really any of the teams that are in the bottom four of the Western Conference, they usually have lacking deficiencies in one area or another. They usually have a glaring deficiency in one area or another. You know, like with the Lakers, they're not a good not a good 3-point shooting team. With the Warriors, they're not a great defensive team. They're not a great rebounding team. You know, the Mavericks actually are the only team right now that kind of can do a little bit of the best of both worlds. The Kings, not a great defensive team, very good, you know, at getting up and down, but they're not so good at playing a slower paced game. So I don't understand why people are so quick to say that the Timberwolves, you know what I'm saying, will be knocked out, because they were the team that gave the Nuggets the best run for their money out of everybody in the postseason last year. So don't sleep, man. I would not be surprised if we look up here in April or May, and you know what I'm saying, the Timberwolves are a game away from making the conference finals. So don't sleep. The Oklahoma City Thunder, man, they're so consistent, so fast. It doesn't make sense to me just how good this team is this year. Like, going into the season, as long as I'm pretty sure 80% of the population of America thought that the Oklahoma City Thunder will be a team that improves and is able to get into a position where they are potentially able to make the postseason. Nobody saw them being the 2 seed in the Western Conference 57 games into the season, right? Nobody saw that coming. And by the 2 seed, they're also tied for first. So they're actually tied for first 57 games into the season, right? A Western Conference that has teams like the Nuggets and the Clippers and the Suns and the Lakers and the Warriors and the Pelicans and the Kings, and they have the teams that have star power across the board. You have this young upstart team led by a guy that is so consistently great every single day. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander averages, it seems like the only stat line he knows how to put up is 31, 6, and 6. 31, 6, and 6, 36 and 6. He consistently puts those numbers up every single game. And with him being that consistent, I feel like it makes the rest of the team super consistent, because they're just consistently a good offensive and defensive team. Nobody really has to go outside their means, because they know every single night their guy is going to get them at least 30 points, so all they have to do is fall in line. That makes it easier for J-Dub. That makes it easier for Lou Dort and Chet and Josh Giddey. It just makes it easier for the entire team, and it just makes them seem so unbeatable sometimes, you know, because they can beat you in almost any way, you know. So they're so consistent, man. So consistent, so fast. That's another team I think you got to be concerned about come playoff team, because if you sleep on them, same thing with the Timberwolves, you'll see them a game away from making the conference finals. All right, the Denver Nuggets, they're still the goddamn champions. I'm not going to really spend too much time on the Nuggets here. They are still the champions. They have still that synergy and that chemistry on the court. And they have this guy. He's undoubtedly, I think that we can't really question anymore. He is the best player in basketball today, in Nikola Jokic. The guy just dominates the game in so many different ways. He puts up ridiculous stat lines, and it just seems like everybody's really trying to compete up to what he does on a nightly basis. So, you know what I'm saying? Right now they're at 39-19, you know, third place in the West. And listen, man, and you just know that come playoff time, somebody's got to beat that team 4 times out of 7 games, and it's going to be incredibly difficult to do so. All right, the Portland Trailblazers. Scoot, man. Scoot is the guy. Scoot is the guy for you guys. I love Anthony. I love Shaedon Sharpe. But I think that going forward is going to be Scoot Henderson. I think that he has a skill set that not really these other guys can compete with. I don't think that Anthony Simon, I don't think he's really going to be a number one on a great team. Shaedon Sharpe, I think he could be a very, very good role player. I'm not saying you need to trade Anthony or Shaedon. I'm just saying that you got to understand that your guy is going to be Scoot Henderson going forward, right? Scoot Henderson and building the pieces around him are going to be what actually makes his team, make or breaks his team, all right? The Memphis Grizzlies, they are winners in a losing year. This year was really supposed to be a year where the Grizzlies really were just off the map. You know, they were going through the issues with John Morant. He's suspended. You know, Steven Adams gets hurt right before the season starts. Desmond Bane gets hurt. Marcus Smart gets hurt. And then next thing you know, bada bing, bada boom, you're 20-38, and the season essentially is over. You know, Ja got taken out. Ja was shut down for the season with, I believe, his shoulder surgery. Desmond Bane, I believe, is still out, and the team kind of just. And at a time when you expect the team to kind of just flounder and wait until next season, they actually were able to make some really, you know, important moves for their future. You know what I'm saying? This was a team that was dealing with a lot of questions when it comes to depth around the team. They lost Dylan Brooks last year. In free agency, they trade Steven Adams, and then they find out, hey, we actually got some pretty good players here. We got G.G. Jackson. They got a couple of solid big men there, so that when they have a full team and they have Ja Morant, they have players who can come in and step in and be actually real benefits to the team. So I think in a year where we really expected not to hear much from them, I think that they're in a position now where they're going to be a lot better going forward for years to come when they get the rest of their pieces around. All right. The New Orleans Pelicans, they're good but still questioned, right? I think the Pelicans are they're definitely one of the better teams in the NBA right now. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They're 34-24 for the tie for the 6th seed in the West. You know what I'm saying? Zion really hasn't been playing, superstar basketball as you've seen from him in the past. Brandon Ingram, I believe he's been in and out of the lineup. I don't think that the three main guys have played very much together, but when they do play together, they're virtually like unbeatable. And here they are at 34-24, silently in the middle of the Western Conference playoffs. Out there, they made it out of the play-in too. They're a really, really good team, but I think that people aren't really quite sure where they want to put them. Like, if you were making a tier list with contenders in the NBA, where do the Pelicans fall on that list? So yeah, I think that there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered. There's a lot more questions than answers when it comes to the Pelicans. I think that going into this offseason, they're going to have to decide what is their direction is going to be moving forward, whether it is we want to move forward with Zion as the guy, as B.I. as the guy, or maybe we want to go with, keep them both and, kind of just restructure the roster around them, because I think right now they're in a position where they are good enough to compete in the Western Conference, which is good. For the longest time, they were a team that was missing the play-in, making the play-in, losing the first game. I think now they have potential. They're a situation where they really could potentially put an actual scare into a first-round team, but they're still not up to a point where they're actually going to be able to beat one of these better teams. So that's going to be a big question for them during this offseason, but they're still very good this year. Very, very good. The Lakers, how are they bad? I don't understand exactly how the Lakers are bad. You can't really tell me that Jared Vanderbilt's injury is really derailing the team this much, or, Gabe Vincent's injury is really messing up what they're trying to do this much, because they still have the core that brought them to a Western Conference Finals. Now, it's also, like, part of me wants to just say that they are a playoff team. Like, they're a team that, when you don't have to really worry about, traveling to Charlotte and then, Miami and then Washington over the course of 7 days, like, when they're able to just lock in on one opponent and they're able to, actually just like know what their schedule is every single day, and, how much time you're going to have in between games is going to be the same between each game. I think that they are a team that is designated for that time, but it doesn't make sense to me as to why right now they're a 500 team. They're floating around 500, 31-28. They're the 9th seed in the West. I didn't think that the Lakers had an amazing offseason the way how everybody else did. I thought they did a very good job at standing pat, but the Cam Reddish injury, the Vando injury, the Gabe Vincent injury, I really refuse to believe that those three players are able to have this team going from, this is the same team that was, had the best record in the NBA the second half of last season, and now here they are, a middle of the pack team, battling with the Warriors for the last play-in spot, or one of the last two playoff seeding positions. I don't get it. You have LeBron, you got AD playing out of their fucking mind, but they just can't seem to consistently get right. The Lakers are 7-3 in their last 10, but they dug that hole for themselves. So it's going to be interesting really come playoff time, because I really do think that they are a team that is built for playoff basketball. So how they're able to piece it together and where they're standing when the dance starts is going to be really interesting. The Golden State Warriors, how are they not worse? This Golden State Warriors team, their roster is not good. They don't have really anything that great Warrior teams in the past have had. They don't have great depth. Their starting lineup has not been as great as recent years. Andrew Wiggins had a very, very difficult start to the season. Klay Thompson, at multiple points during this year, has been like fighting the status quo, fighting with the coaches, fighting with, even Steph Curry, it feels like sometimes, fighting with himself and like, trying to like really rationalize his own basketball mortality here. And here they are at 29 and 27. They're clearly entrenched in the play-in. They're 3 games up on the Jazz for the last play-in spot, and they're 8-2 in their last 10, and they seem to only be getting better. I don't understand how this team is not floundering even worse. You know what I'm saying? I thought there would be a serious chance for the Rockets to take their spot, or for, one of this interesting Jazz team to get their start. But no, they're standing packed. They're leaning into their experience, and that's going to be enough to get them into the play-in tournament. But in terms of their future plans, there's still so many questions when it comes to the Warriors. So many questions. All right, the Clippers. So for the Clippers, I put PG and Harden are in playoff mode. If you guys have not noticed, the Clippers, they are 37-19. Ever since when they traded for James Harden, they went on that big winning streak where they were looking great, looking unstoppable. People were ready to pick them, going to the finals and all this good stuff. And now here they are. Things are starting to get tight. We're trying to get into, the nitty gritty of positioning for the playoff seedings. And now all of a sudden we're getting stinkers from James Harden. Paul George has been on a really, really bad tear the last 15 to 20 games or so, and now the team is like, they're not floundering by any means. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They're still 37-19, which is still good which is still 4 games up on the 5 seed. So it's not like they're in danger of slipping in anything, but you kind of got to question. You want to be playing your best basketball around the right time, and coming out of All-Star, you don't want to be stumbling like this. So you hope that Paul George is able to get it together. I've heard a lot of talk about potentially this extension for Paul George being an issue, and it's starting to potentially cause issues for the team. I hope that's not true. I hope that they this is a team that's needed to show for years that they have what it takes to actually go on an actual playoff run and potentially really win a championship, like everybody expected them to be when they brought that team together in 2020. But I think that if they're able to be derailed like something like contract extension talks during one of the best seasons of their franchise's history, I just think that there will never be an opportunity where we're actually will sit here and honestly believe in the Clippers being actual championship contenders ever again. So that's going to be very interesting going forward. Hopefully they get that figured out. The Sacramento Kings. They're not surprising people anymore. Nobody's surprised by the Sacramento Kings anymore. Everybody knows that De'Aaron Fox is an all-star caliber player. He's a star in this league. Domantas Sabonis, somehow he keeps on getting better. He puts up these crazy numbers, a double machine. But at this point, people understand what the Kings are and what they have to offer. They're an amazing offensive team that can get up and down the court, but they're not a great defensive team. And they have a couple of holes there. Their star players have a couple of holes there that you can exploit. And I think that has resulted in them being a 33-24 team, which is not a bad record by any stretch. But they're not that 2 seed or that 3 seed that they were last year. They don't have that same kind of buzz, that same kind of excitement about them. And I think it's very good. I think it's very, very good for the Kings for them to be in. They're in playoff contention, and they're still a good team. They didn't fall off by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not really sneaking up on teams anymore. People know what to expect out of them, and I think that they're gonna have to make another move going forward that'll get them back into that contention where they are a top 3-4 seed in the West again. The San Antonio Spurs. I put this is only phase 1. This is only phase 1 of a 3-phase plan. They got Wemby. They got the guy. They got the centerpiece, right? We gotta just build around him now. You know what I'm saying? If you've been watching the Spurs this year, you can tell they've been kind of feeling out different things, filling out different lineups. They tried Jeremy Sohay in that point guard. Now they got Trey. What's the guy's name? Trey Johnson. What's the guy's name? What's his brother's name? Oh my God. What's the guy's name? Trey Jones. They got Trey Jones at point guard. They had Keldon Johnson be the starting. He was a starter this year. Now they have him coming off the bench. They've tried different lineups with different guys. So they're just trying to figure it out. And here they are at 11-47. They have a terrible record, so they're gonna get another decent pick this year. And now it's just about getting these lottery picks and building this team around him because they have their guy. They have Wemby. So all they need to do now is just build the pieces up around them, and the rest will work for itself. Trae Young. The Houston Rockets. Where does Jalen fit in? I think that right now it's very clear that Jalen Green is not going to be the best player on the Houston Rockets if they ever do become a competitive team. I think that right now they're a very, very solid team. You know what I'm saying? They were in the running for the play-in a little bit earlier, have kind of fallen out since then. I think this year that they've shown that they have found maybe that their main guy should potentially be Alperen Sengun because he's just uber talented on many different aspects of the floor. He's only getting better, it seems. He's very good offensively. He's an improving defensive player. They have other good pieces around him, like they have Amen Thompson. They were able to bring in Cam Whitmore, and they got Dylan Brooks, and they got Fred, and they're a very, very good team. But now you kind of just like you gotta think that somebody has to be the odd man out. You know what I'm saying? And Jalen Green has been that odd man out. He's only been giving you, I believe, like 17 points on the season. You know what I'm saying? I really made that jump that you expect from a 30-year player. I believe it's his third year. That you would expect from a 30-year player. And yeah, you kind of just see like other guys on the team that are kind of leapfrogging him in terms of potential importance to winning and things like that. So you really kind of just see where does he fit in. He's had stretches over the past couple months where he has been, efficient with his scoring and been a net positive, but even still, you're just not entirely sure what the direction is for the team's going to be. Like, when this team is good, when it's all said and done, where does Jalen Green end up? Is he still a Rocket, or does he get moved in another trade? All right, we have our Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks are the clear deadline winners now. Like I was saying before, with all the injuries that happened to the Knicks, they were kind of seen as the deadline winners before. But now with everything happening with the Knicks, I can just say the Mavericks clearly won the deadline. They brought in PJ. They brought in Daniel Gafford. Kyrie Irving gets healthy. This team is finally together at full strength for the first time, it feels like, all season. And they have no holes, it feels like. You know what I'm saying? They've gotten bigger, they've gotten better. They have their two-headed dragon back, and now they're in prime position to just climb up the ranks. They're at the 8th seed right now in the West, but they're only a half game out for the 5 seed. So just that fast, they can be climbing up. We could be looking at the Dallas Mavericks potentially be a top 5 seed in the West. And this was a team that missed the playoffs last year, and people were kind of just like questioning like if Luka and Kyrie would be able to lead this team to the playoffs. So here they are, potentially knocking on the door to being firmly in the playoffs and being a very, very tough out for a team. Because if I'm the Clippers, I don't want to see Kyrie and Luka Doncic round 1. Definitely don't want to see them round 1. Alrighty, we've got down to our last 2 teams. We have the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz, man, they're just like a super interesting team to me because they don't have necessarily great players, but they have a super, super solid roster. They have a super, super good star in Lauri Markkanen. I think that he's exactly what the doctor ordered for this team. He's not a super expensive, not a super ball dominant guy. He lets the other guys on the team really get their own, and we're really seeing that allows other players to really like play their game. You know what I'm saying? You got Keontae George, you got they traded Kelly Olynyk, Jordan Clarkson, you know what I'm saying? Players that Walker Kessler, they're just Kessler Walker, something like that. They have these a very, very solid roster. My question really with them is, will they stay patient? Will they stay patient? Will they be okay being a middle of the pack team for the next 3 or 4 years while they figure out what this lineup's going to be? Because I think that they have their coach in Will Hardy. Will Hardy's a very, very good coach. I think they have their star, potentially, at least one of their stars in Lauri Markkanen. You know what I'm saying? I think they have their 6th man in Jordan Clarkson. The rest of that stuff can be workshopped. If you're able to turn Keontae George into a very good point guard, he can be your point guard of the future. If you guys are able to keep Colin Sexton happy and have him be just that bulldog defensive player that you guys need, who can still give you buckets, he can do that for you. But they have to just build out the roster. And it's just the question just remains, will they stay patient? Because they got a bunch of picks back for Rudy Gobert. They got a bunch of picks back for Donovan Mitchell. They have the draft capital to go out and make a splash. but will it be a splash that will ultimately just have them be another middle of the pack team, or will they make that splash that will actually boost them up into contention? So will they stay patient is the question of the day for the Utah Jazz. And last but not least, we have the Phoenix Suns, and the 5 words, or the couple words I have to describe them, is they're regretting the Beal deal. They're regretting the Beal deal, and they are regretting the Beal deal because it is drastically hampering their ability. It drastically hampered their ability to put support around this roster. They had enough to compete in the Western Conference with just Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Even if they ran it back with DeAndre Ayton this past offseason, they said they didn't trade him, they ran it back. They still are in better position with those 3 players than having 3 perimeter players and one of them who can't stay on the court. Because the big dog process, I'm going to guess, behind bringing in Bradley Beal was that then you have, you know what I'm saying, you have a constant threat on the perimeter at all times. Even though you guys don't have a point guard, you guys don't have anybody to actually run the show, you guys have people who can get a bucket at any given time. So I understand the idea of the offensive overload, but I think that what this team needed more than anything was the complementary pieces. And you see with guys like Grayson Allen, guys like Bol, guys like Royce O'Neal, who got added recently, even Yuta when he was there, when it was very, very important to have those surrounding pieces around there, because when you don't have those surrounding pieces, you're relying on your stars to carry the entire show, which has already proven that it's not a winning formula. You know what I'm saying? Both Kevin Durant and Devin Booker have played that style of basketball, and they know they can only take you so far. So what they really needed more than anything was to surround this lineup with, you know what I'm saying, good rebounding pieces, solid bench pieces, solid defenders. But for them to for Matt Ishbia to make the big swing and to bring in Bradley Beal and his $50 million contract, it kind of just like, because now you're like, damn, in a world where we would love to go out and get a PJ Washington, now we have to settle for Keita Bates-Diop. You know what I'm saying? In a world where we would love to go out there and get a Duncan Robinson potentially, we have to get a Grayson Allen. And Grayson Allen's been amazing, don't get me wrong. That's just an example. But where we can honestly get a guy that can really, really fit a need for us, we have to get a guy of lesser talent because we can't really afford that guy. Which is going to be a problem. It has served to be a problem sometimes during this during this regular season. But I think that once the playoff comes, if Bradley Beal is not able to be that player that they brought him in here to be, I think you're going to really, really see the deficiencies in that lineup really stick up and really be a problem. But that is 30 NBA teams, 5 words or less to describe all of them. That was actually pretty fun. I think that it was a really good time. I think we get something that we can do again going forward, and because as things go on, what I'm saying, your opinions change, and you can use 5 words to describe a bunch of stuff. So I had a lot of fun doing that. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Basketball Weekly. If you did, make sure you leave a like, make sure you leave a comment, make sure you subscribe, and we will see you guys. We will see you. I will see you. It's just a 1-minute show here. I will see you in the next episode. Peace.